Title: The Last Message. It was a grey and cold afternoon when Laura found the letter. It was not an ordinary letter. It had no sender, and the paper seemed old, although it was not torn or stained. The sob, it stood out among the other papers that remained at the bottom of the box that her mother had asked her to review. It was the anniversary of her father's death, and Laura was cleaning up in the attic, something he had avoided for years. His mother, who was always a well of secrets, had made it clear that he should not touch that box. But now, with curiosity burning inside him, he decided, ignore his warning. The envelope was sealed with a red seal. For Laura, it said in letters that seemed handwritten, but with a strange calligraphy, almost as if it were written by someone. Yuyen, que no conocía la letra del todo bien. With trembling hands, Laura broke the seal and took out the letter. Upon opening it, she saw that it was written with almost faded ink, and the words seemed to... The verses were formed with difficulty, as if whoever had written them had done so with terrifying urgency. Laura, if you are reading this, it is already too late. Do not trust anyone. Time has run out ordered, and there is no way to stop what has begun. Do what I told you. Go to the place I mentioned. If you don't, you will lose everything. Laura stopped breathing for a moment. Her father had died a year. It was behind, but something in that letter didn't make sense. What was it talking about? What had begun? What place did it mention? The letter had no more information, but something inside told him he should investigate. Chapter 2. The mystery grows. Laura couldn't wait. Instead of continuing to search the attic, she took the letter and went to the library. Her father, a reserved and quiet man, never mentioned nothing about a place or a warning like that. Why would he write something like that now? It was clear that someone had left that letter for her, but who, why, and what did it mean? Everything seemed an impossible mystery to solve. He went through each shelf of his home library, looking for something that could give clues. When he checked the forgotten box, he found something that chilled his blood. A Aja compass, exactly like the one his father used to carry when he left home. Why was it there, in that dusty corner? Why had he never seen that compass before? The compass did not have the fixed needle. Instead of pointing north, the needle rotated, as if it were looking for something. Laura, with a racing heart, remembered what the letter said. Go to the place I mentioned. Chapter 3. The place mentioned. The compass spun incessantly, pointing towards the old lighthouse that was on the outskirts of the town. A place that had always intrigued him, but that his father had never allowed him to visit. Although it was a forgotten structure, with walls worn by the passage of time, her father always insisted that she stay away from it. Laura never understood why. With the letter in a hand, with the map in one hand and the compass in the other, Laura decided to do what her father had silently asked her to do. Perhaps, she thought, that was the answer to everything. Perhaps there she would find the answers she so much sought. To arrive at the lighthouse, the wind was blowing strongly, and the sea was crashing against the rocks brutally. The place seemed gloomier than ever, and a feeling of unease took hold of Laura. With each step, the air was becoming denser, as if the fog of that place was swallowing everything around it. When she approached the entrance of the lighthouse, the door was ajar. Laura, with a racing pulse, he pushed the door and entered. The structure was empty, but in the center of the main hall, on an old wooden table, he found something that made him stop dead in his tracks. A wooden box, the same that which she had seen in the attic, with a red seal identical to that of the letter. Chapter 4. The box. Without thinking twice, Laura opened the box. Inside she found a leather notebook with pages which creaked when touched. Upon opening it, he saw that it was written in the same calligraphy as the letter. The words, although distorted by time, were clear. The truth is more dangerous than any mentira. No sigas buscando, Laura. Deja que todo esto se apague antes de que sea demasiado tarde. Si insistes, perderás más de lo que puedas imaginar. The words seemed to warn her of something. The ear was bigger than she had imagined. Suddenly, everything she knew seemed to crumble. Her father had not only left her a letter, but a notebook that spoke of much darker secrets, euros of what could have been supposed. What was happening? What danger lurked for his family? Laura slammed the box shut and looked around, as if something or someone were watching her. In that momento, the compass in his hand began to turn again, this time faster. With the feeling of being watched, Laura decided to follow what seemed to be the only option. Continue searching. I can do the answers, no matter how dark the path was. Chapter 5. The outcome. Night fell quickly, and Laura, with notebook in hand, returned to her house. As she advanced, I realized that the reality I knew no longer made sense. Everything seemed connected to something bigger and sinister. What had his father discovered? Why had it been so important to him that did Laura know it? With the notebook open in front of her, Laura's eyes scanned the pages with increasing desperation. The last sentence said, "The clock is running. Time is the clave E, and you are the only one who can stop him. Only you." Laura looked at the time on her wristwatch. The hand was moving rapidly, almost as if time were accelerating. She felt something approaching Maba, something that she couldn't avoid. The only way to understand everything was to face the truth. The clock kept running, and she knew the end was near. End.